Hi, my name's Senga Lindsay. I'm a landscape architect here in North Vancouver. Today we're going to show you how to build an edible green roof. Before I begin, I just want to point out that everybody's situation is going to be different. Therefore, these are just general tips for your information only. You need to do your own homework when it comes to building your own edible green roof. But things that I'd like to point out before we begin that you should be particularly aware of are two issues, and this is step one. Do your homework. We're standing here at the garage of my own green roof, and I'd like to point out that before I began, I had to check with an architect and an engineer to make sure that the loads that we were going to place on this roof, because it is an existing roof, we had to make sure that the new soil and the wood we're putting up there would not damage the roof. In other words, that the roof as it existed now was strong enough to hold the additional weight. And in fact, we ended up having to shore the structure inside the garage. The next thing I did was I had to make sure that this roof was not accessible to the public. So I have no staircases that are accessible to the public, because as you can see, I prefer to not have any handrails around my structure. If you do want to bring people up on your roof, you have to be very cognizant of their safety, and that's where you might have to look at things like guardrails or railings, and again, talk to your architect, your building code guys, to make sure that your structure is not only safe, but it's structurally sound. And now we're going to head up there and talk about step number 2, how to actually build the roof. Step 2 to building your edible green roof is this. You need to create a frame on top of your roof in order to hold all your soil. Now what we did here was a simple technique of using 6x6s. We actually sliced them in half, and as you can see, we did little sleepers underneath so that we create slots in between the sleepers. So in essence, this box is raised. It gives us a total of about 9 to 10 inches of soil that we can use to plant our vegetables. And just as a note, most of the vegetables, with the exception of the root kind, your beets, your carrots, only require about 9 inches of soil. So that really lightens up your load on your green roof. We want to create a free draining planter bed. So what we want to do is keep the soil in and avoid having it run through the slots here where the water's draining out. And what we use is simple filter fabric. You'll see it in stores often advertised as weed barrier. But by using this filter fabric, it allows water to run through and it stops your vegetable garden from becoming waterlogged. All you do is simply take the roll, cut it, and measure it into the appropriate size strips. What you want to do is make sure that the edge of your filter fabric slightly overlaps the top of the planter, because once you fill this in with soil, the fabric will start to stretch and pull down slightly. And then all you do is trim off the excess. Step number 3, adding our soil. What we have here is a specially prepared green roof soil mix. It's prepared with more lightweight materials such as pumice and a little less organics. The result is you'll have a soil mix that's about 75 pounds per square foot saturated. That is about a third to a half less than your average garden soil, and as you'll recall, soil and weight loads on your roof are very important. You have to be very cognizant of that. So this composition here is basically a little bit of organics, a little bit of sand, and pumice. The pumice holds the water without waterlogging the planter bed and the vegetables. So we've prepped this bed. We have about 9 inches of soil here. As I indicated, this is the optimum average soil depth that you need to grow most vegetables, with the exception of carrots and root vegetables. And it's a simple matter of, and here I have a couple of examples. We have zucchini and a leaf lettuce. And this leaf lettuce, now that we're starting to go into a cooler season, will start to take off. And all you do is, again, it's a very simple process. Take your garden trowel, take your plant. This is a 4-inch pot, so we have plenty of room below for the roots to spread out. Plant her in the soil. And how we're going to water this green roof is we have a series of rain barrels down below the garage roof here that collects water. And what we'll do is we'll take that water and we'll use it to water this vegetable garden throughout the summer. And that's it. It's as simple as that. And here's our finished product of our edible rooftop garden. And incidentally, we're standing here and we have a little impromptu visitor, which is a perfect example of sustainability and gardens and attracting wildlife. If you can see in that far tree there, I think he's sleeping right now, but he might wake up in a minute or so, is our resident yearling bear. And he comes and visits every so often. There he is. Just waking up from his nap. And what he's doing is he's going after the native choke cherry there. Currently it's in full fruit, so he has made his way through along the fence and into the tree and is currently having lunch. And this is what sustainability is all about. Creating gardens that attract wildlife, that provide food for us as well as them. And it's a perfect example of how we can all live in harmony with nature. Nature does what it wants to do. We give it a little help, and we're all good.